In this week's news bulletin, church volunteers help with cyclone cleanup. Christians offer forgiveness after Libyan massacre. And tech experts say the future of ministry is gaming.
This is InFocus Christian News and Current Affairs.
Hello and welcome to Record in Focus. On today's program, we get to the bottom of that urban myth that you shouldn't drink water from a plastic bottle that's been left in a hot car. Is it true, Sybil?
Well, hello, Kent.
Oh yes, hello. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Yeah, very well.
Good. Well, the bottles, my sister always used to take my plastic bottles away from me because she believed that it was true. So for about 10 years now, I haven't been drinking plastic bottled water that's been left in the car or in the pram.
Okay, well you look pretty healthy. Yeah, well, it'll be interesting to see what Sue has to say about that. We've also got Politics in Focus coming up from Canberra, and we'll meet a man we're seeing a lot less of these days, about 30 kilos less in fact. He'll be telling us the secrets of his massive weight loss and the research that supports simple and biblical lifestyle changes that will have you living healthier and longer.
Well, if we've got to fit all that in, we'd better get on with the news.
Oh, absolutely. Lead on, Sybil.
Thanks, Kent. Towns in central Queensland are counting the cost after tropical cyclone Marcia tore down the coast, leaving a trail of destruction in its path. Further to the south, the weakened storm still caused massive flooding, cutting off the town of Gympie. Church volunteers are working together with other NGOs and emergency services to clean up the mess and help families get back on their feet.
Those that have got chainsaws have been out trying to help clear trees and do what they can to make sure the neighbours are safe. Those that do have power are helping out the ones that don't. We've got members that don't have power taking baskets of dirty washing to those that do have power to get some washing done. The fact that we've all come through unscathed, I think, is just a real answer to prayer. So, yeah, big thank you to those that were thinking of us and praying for us.
Although the beheading of 21 Christians in Libya rated little more than a passing mention in mainstream news bulletins, the massacre has sparked strong reactions from Christian groups and church leaders around the world.
They see us as dogs. They see us as not worthy, not worth anything, worthless. But that's not the way God sees us. That's not the way that God sees these 21 Christian men who were killed simply for their faith.
But among the statements of condemnation, grief and anger came surprising expressions of forgiveness and thanks to the ISIS militants who carried out the beheadings as a message to Christians around the world. In a live broadcast by Sat7 television, the brother of two of the men who were killed thanked ISIS for not editing out the Christian martyrs' last expressions of faith in Jesus Christ, which can be heard on the video. According to Christian Today, the brother said the Bible calls us to love our enemies and bless those who curse us. Continued violence against Christians in the Middle East has also prompted the emergence of Christian militias who say they will fight to defend or retake Christian villages and towns in Iraq. According to Breaking News Israel, a handful of foreign fighters are among the Dwek Norsha Assyrian Christian militia, including men from the US, Canada and the UK. They've been joined by an Australian man, Kamis Gawagas Kamis, who says he's aware that he may face legal consequences when he returns home. According to the ABC, Assyrian church leaders in Australia have asked the Australian government not to penalise people going overseas to fight against terrorism. This year's National Day of Prayer and Fasting in Canberra also became a day of repentance, with Christian leaders expressing sorrow for the hurt caused by church institutions to children in their care. After he told his story at the event in Parliament House's Great Hall, child sexual abuse survivor Mark Stiles had his feet washed by Catholic, Anglican, Salvation Army and Australian Christian church leaders. According to Sight magazine, Mark Stiles spoke about the sense of release he's felt since he offered forgiveness for the harm he had suffered. Christian campaign group Family Voice Australia says TV broadcast standards will be watered down unless the public makes strong objections. Planned changes to the Commercial Television Industry Code of Practice will see G-rated time zones abolished, the M-rated time zone brought forward to 7:30 p.m, and the MA15 Plus programs and ads being shown after 8:30, an hour earlier than previously. Family Voice Australia is also concerned at plans to tighten up on how complaints are made. Phone or fax complaints would no longer be accepted. Submissions on the proposed changes can be sent to Free TV. 67 cyclists have braved traffic, saddle soreness and headwinds to pedal around 300 kilometres along Victoria's Great Ocean Road in a fundraising ride for the world's poor.
It's always gonna be an uphill battle. Sometime you're gonna have to choose. It's found Isaiah 35:3 and it says, strengthen my weak hands, make firm my feeble knees. And I just thought, man, how appropriate. just repeat that in your head, just cling to that verse, and yeah, I'm sure you guys will make it.
The 25,000 Spins ride raised nearly $120,000 for 5 charities: Compassion, Watoto, the Fred Hollows Foundation, the Botswana Orphan Project, and the Adventist Development and Relief Agency. In just a few days, a second 25,000 Spins fundraising ride will tackle the spectacular mountain scenery around Queenstown in South New Zealand. A clever partnership initiated by the Brotherhood of St Lawrence and the ANZ Bank has seen struggling Australians save more than $23 million over the last 10 years. According to the Sydney Morning Herald, the Saver Plus program encourages poor families to save for education costs by matching savings dollar for dollar. The program also includes financial education workshops and the services of a personal financial advisor. Many of the 23,000 people who have participated in the Saver Plus program over the last 10 years say that as a result they have more confidence, they're less stressed, and their finances are under better control. Church tech experts say the future of online ministry may well lie in computer games. In a world of short attention spans, where it's becoming more difficult to reach people with the gospel, finding ways to connect may well start by recognising the focus and commitment of gamers. A number of speakers at this year's Global Adventist Internet Network conference highlighted early successes with gamification in training, education and Bible knowledge. Adventist church leaders in East Africa say they're not too sure how many people have come to faith during an evangelistic push in the region that saw a mass baptism of more than 2,300 people. According to Adventist Review, the evangelistic meetings were held at various sites in 11 countries around Eastern and Central Africa, with thousands of other people following on radio and television broadcasts. The grand finale saw 40,000 people gather in a stadium in Dar es Salaam, the capital of Tanzania, where many committed to share the message of Jesus' soon coming when they returned home. The traditional divide between Christian activity and public schools in the USA has been crossed by an evangelical church in Portland, Oregon. According to CBN News, a new documentary outlines how Southlake Church members recognized the poverty and disadvantage among students at Roosevelt High and felt they had to do something about it. But in order to help, they first had to agree to let their hands and feet do the talking, rather than using the situation to overtly preach the gospel.
The best way to convince people that you don't have an agenda is to not have an agenda.
I've never seen anything like it. I hope more churches will emulate what Southlake's doing.
Southlake's approach is more of, let me show you through the works, through my actions, what love really is.
And that's this week's news. There's a lot to be said for helping without an agenda, isn't there, Kent?
Yeah, it can be
helping because...
Yeah, just because. Yeah, it can be really powerful, I think. You know, it reminds me of that saying that's often attributed to Francis of Assisi: preach the gospel at all times, and if necessary... use words. That's the one.
Well, we've still got a few more words to use in today's programme, but not until after the break. Kent will be back in a moment with Politics in Focus.
Discover some of these artists from Salter Music. Anna Weatherup.
Oh, people get ready for the train to Jordan.
Castles in Air.
Like watchmen wait for the morning light.
Eric and Monique.
You alone are my strength, my refuge.
Sapphire.
His love reached the bottom of the ocean.
No matter matter what shade of musical taste you have, you might just find something that sings to you. It's all waiting to be discovered at saltermusic.com. Fresh and exciting original Christian music from Salter Music.
So you think you've got your future all planned out, right? Or maybe you're not sure yet. What you want to do, who you want to be. A great education matters. Avondale. It's education designed for life.
Hello, welcome back. And it's great to have with us again from Canberra, Lyle Shelton from the Australian Christian Lobby. How are you, Lyle?
I'm really well, thanks, Kent. Good to be with you again.
Good to hear. Now, Lyle, we heard in the news earlier that Family Voice Australia is concerned at plans to show mature content on commercial TV half an hour or an hour earlier than is currently allowed. I understand you share some of these same concerns.
Yeah, we absolutely do, Kent. This is typical of the television industry. Certainly not your part of the industry, Kent, but they do try and relax the standards constantly. So they've put forward a proposal to the Australian Communications and Media Authority that more sex and violence can be shown in children's viewing hours. Now, we don't think that's a good idea, and we think most Australian parents would agree with us.
Okay, now I understand there are also issues with alcohol ads being shown, perhaps, as early as 7:30?
Yeah, that's exactly right. We don't object to alcohol being advertised per se, but I think we do know from the research that a lot of alcohol advertising directed at children does affect their behaviour, and of course we know we've got a massive binge drinking problem in this country with young people. So we don't need more alcohol advertising on TV, and we certainly don't need it at earlier hours when children are watching.
Yeah, I mean, the commercial TV networks, Lyle, are arguing that, when it comes to online streaming services, pay TV, public television, any other content delivery platform, that they have less regulation than commercial TV does. They're saying, wouldn't it be fairer to have a level playing field?
Yeah, well, that may be so, and certainly we are chasing our tails as a society to keep up with the new technologies, but that doesn't mean it should be a race to the bottom, to the lowest common denominator. And certainly we do still watch a lot of television as families, and certainly a lot of children do, who perhaps might have their device use regulated by their parents. It is very hard to regulate TV viewing, and we need as much assistance from the industry to help parents, not to make it harder for them.
Yeah, fair enough. Now, Lyle, we've seen a change of state government in Queensland just once they eventually sorted themselves out, and now we're facing a state election in New South Wales. Are there issues of particular concern to Christians that seems to be, pushing the pendulum towards Labor, or that maybe might turn out to be election deciders?
Yeah, it's hard to know, Kent. Certainly the New South Wales Premier Mike Baird is well known as a Christian, and that will most likely augur well for him in the campaign. The new Labor leader, Luke Foley, has only been in the job since April. He's a committed Catholic, so again that will have appeal to a large portion of the Christian constituency. Unfortunately, Mr Foley has given in to the pressure that's been relentless on him over marriage, and changed his position on marriage, and now supports changing its definition. So that probably will work against him in a large part of the constituency.
Yeah, all right. Well, thanks so much for your insights, Lyle.
Pleasure, Kent. Thanks for having us.
And now it's over to James Toogood and Food in Focus.
Yeah, folks, look, it's a hot day. You're in the car, you reach for that plastic bottle, you take a good swig. You are thirsty. Oh, taste of plastic, Sue. I mean, what's wrong with it? Am I doing harm?
Well, you could be drinking the plasticizers, James.
Oh.
In fact, research now shows it's not just what we eat, but how we store our food that could be important. Because various plasticizers, some of these chemicals used in the making of these plastics, can leach or migrate into the food or drink that you have. Well, it can be part of the taste.
Oh, okay.
So many studies now show these strong associations between even very low doses of exposure to these chemicals like BPA or phthalates. There's many different types of chemicals used for the manufacture of plastics, and all kinds of health problems such as cancers, ovarian, breast, prostate cancer, but even diabetes and heart disease. And in animals, exposure to these chemicals has been linked with early onset of puberty, lower sperm count, and all kinds of reproductive problems. So scientists are taking this very seriously and looking at these routes of exposures and how we're getting them into the body, because they're not natural and they shouldn't be there.
So these kind of like plasticky kind of tasting or whatever things inside that's leached from the plastic.
Well, often you can't even taste it. Often you can't even taste it, and that is the problem. So a recent study conducted actually in Germany of mineral waters, where they compared mineral water from glass, say compared to mineral water from plastic bottles.
Any kind of plastic?
Any kind of plastic that mineral water is stored in, showed that in the plastic, the water contained 78% more of these estrogenic type compounds. These are hormone-like compounds compared to water found in the glass, which contain a lower quantity.
And this is what links to those various diseases.
And when they tried to grow snails, there are certain snails that are very sensitive to estrogens, the New Zealand mud snail, when they tried to grow them in the different plastics and looked at their reproductive outputs, the snails grown in the plastic produced far more embryos than the snails grown in the glass. So something's going on. These things are disrupting hormones in the body, mimicking estrogen, converting hormones into other.
So whether you're a bloke or a lady, if you're getting too much estrogenic stuff being interfered with or doubling up or whatever's happening in the body, it sounds a bit scary.
Well, it's not natural. And a lot of people go for the BPA-free bottles because they think they're safe.
Okay.
Some of them have BPA-free on them. But the data is now showing that BPA-free bottles are probably not safe either. In fact, one study showed that there was more estrogenic activity as measured by certain tests from BPA-free bottles than from those who are that are not even BPA-free.
Now, look, Sue, every time I come to this program, I learn something brand new, and I walk away thinking, man, I've got to change something. I've been drinking from BPA-free, and you pay a fortune for them.
So, but even the PET bottles, the common water bottles that have PET on the bottom, you might like to check that.
It does
they're
got that
not
little
safe.
triangular symbol and PET.
No, that's right, because studies show that although they're not even supposed to have BPA in them, they've been found to have some BPA, and they've also been shown to have phthalates inside. These are very harmful chemicals, 12 times the level as water that's not stored in plastic.
I took a big swig of this, I could taste it.
What we're consuming. And really, James, this is all just the tip of the iceberg. We're talking about water, plain old good old water, but we need to consider plastics more broadly.
Yes, everything's wrapped in plastic in the supermarket.
Food containers, all kinds of storage containers, and even what it's doing to our environment. But, you know, most importantly for human health, it's not a good idea to consume food that's stored in plastic because leaching of these chemicals can occur. So the best thing is to get a glass water bottle. You can filter your water from the tap and enjoy good old water in ample amounts for good health.
You know, you've inspired me, so I'm going to go and get a glass bottle for my water today. And you bought a beautiful bottle of water here. Here we go. Let's see how we go. Oh, it's come off too. Cheers, Sue. Hey, folks, cheers. Safe water is in a glass bottle. Go and enjoy some.
The media targets our girls with destructive messages. But is there an alternative? Yes, it's Gigi. Gigi is a great new magazine for teenage girls that uplifts good Christian values. Finally, a way to pass on our values in a way the teenage girls in our life will love. So give a subscription to a teenage girl you love today. Visit gigimagazine.com.au. That's gigimagazine.com.au.
Hello, welcome back. Well, if the profusion of health and lifestyle and weight loss programs on commercial TV is any indication, people are really interested in improving their health. And we have Dr. Paul Rankin here this morning who shares that passion. Is that right, Paul?
I do, very much so.
And this goes back to a personal story for you, doesn't it?
Yeah, Ken, I had been overweight since I was 16. And in my late 40s decided to make some significant changes, lost 35 kilos in weight.
Wow.
And experienced the incredible difference that sort of change in lifestyle can make. My figures all improved, my cholesterol, my fasting plasma glucose, but it was the energy I had and the things I could do that I couldn't do before.
Wow, that's incredible. So what sort of strategies did you put into place? Something, a pineapple juice diet or something? Or
no, it was very simple strategies. It was a whole food, plant-based diet with some exercise.
Okay.
And it was a matter of being careful about what I ate, but making sure it was whole food and plant-based really helped.
Does this explain your passion for the complete health improvement program, CHIP, because this is an area where you're working now and something that you strongly advocate for. You've even done your research, done a PhD in this area. Is that sort of related to your personal experience?
Yes, very much so, very much related to my personal experience. As I said, I experienced the benefits myself and was very keen to share these with other people.
So you went through the CHIP program yourself, did you, or was it sort of similar lifestyle
It was a very
changes?
similar lifestyle, adopting what were the CHIP principles.
Okay.
I actually discovered the CHIP program about 18 months after I made the changes myself and thought, yeah, that's what I did.
Okay.
And it provides a way that we can take these principles and share them in the community.
Okay. All right, so the Complete Health Improvement Program began a few decades ago, didn't it, in the US under the...
Yeah, Dr. Hans Deal developed the CHIP program after working with Nathan Predigan.
As in the Predigan diet?
As in the Predigan diet.
Yep, yep.
About 28 years ago now.
Okay.
Yeah, in the States. And then in 1996 they filmed sessions, which became the basis of the old CHIP program. And then 3 years ago we completely updated the CHIP program, produced a new CHIP material.
Okay. And in the process, the ownership of CHIP passed from the US to here in Australia, didn't it?
Correct. CHIP is now actually owned by the Seventh Adventist Church in the South Pacific.
Okay, but it's still available in America. And
still available in America, worldwide. I'm actually going to the Philippines in March to do some training for CHIP in the Philippines.
Okay, all right. Now, one interesting story about the CHIP program is New Zealand, where you were living previously before coming here to Australia. Can you tell us just a little bit about how the CHIP program looked in New Zealand and perhaps how it looks now, and what sort of impact that was making on communities there?
Yeah, look, we had some dramatic impact on communities in New Zealand. Had about 40 different communities in New Zealand running the CHIP program in their community, and saw some dramatic changes in those communities, from Maori communities up in the far north to farming communities, Hawara, to South New Zealand, Christchurch, Blenheim, and saw so many people have dramatic changes. I was talking to someone on Saturday who's lost 70 kilos doing the CHIP, 32-year-old. Lost 70 kilos from the CHIP program. Made an incredible difference in his life.
That is incredible. So can you just help us picture what, if I say I'm doing the CHIP program, what am I doing?
Okay, the key principle of the CHIP program is for people to adopt a whole food, plant-based diet, which means vegetarian, for want of a better term, and using those foods as close to grown as possible with minimal processing. And then getting exercise, drinking water, some stress management techniques.
Okay, but the program itself, it involves what sort of educational sessions in a group setting?
The program itself is 18 sessions, and each session consists of a 45-minute video presentation, and then some cooking demonstrations, group interaction, exercise classes, exercise components.
Okay.
And
aren't there also like health tests, like
correct
medical people come in?
At the start of the program, they do some health tests, people's height, weight, blood pressure, take some blood tests to see what their cholesterol's doing, their fasting plasma glucose, blood sugar levels are doing. And then 30 days later they repeat those tests, so people get very positive feedback about what's happening and the changes happening.
So it's a month-long program?
It's actually 3 months. The first month is intensive, and the second 2 months are a follow-up to help cement the behaviour changes.
Okay, all right. Now the research you've done is actually looking at the effectiveness of CHIP. I mean, it sounds like a good idea.
Yeah.
On paper,
yes.
But the fact is,
lots of stories. But was it scientifically valid?
The fact is, I mean, here we are, towards the beginning of the year, and how are your New Year's resolutions going?
Yeah.
A lot of them involve diets, and we all know that we start and then we fail. And what sort of level of success does the CHIP program have? Don't just tell me the story of one person who lost weight. Like statistically, is it actually more successful than a New Year's resolution? You know what I mean?
And Kent, a couple of things were involved in the process, but essentially we looked at the results of 5,070 people who'd been through the CHIP program.
Okay.
Looked at the results before and after,
yep.
and saw dramatic changes, 11% drop in cholesterol. 45% of those who had fasting plasma glucose blood sugar levels indicative of type 2 diabetes no longer had blood sugar levels at the end of that, of the 30 days. These results were published by the American Journal of Cardiology and the American College of Lifestyle Medicine. When they saw those results in that article, said they were the most clinically significant results ever published in the literature for lifestyle change. And this is not just 2 or 3 people, this is 5,000 people.
Yeah, and that's a reasonable sample size.
It's a very good sample size. The other thing we did was we went back to a town in New Zealand called Hawera, where we'd had 400 people do the program, and looked at 106 of them who'd done the program more than 4 years ago, on average of 4 years ago.
Okay, so this is sort of the longitudinal thing, the over time, okay.
And of those, they were still 3.5 kilos lighter than they were when they started their program. Their blood sugar levels were still better, their cholesterol levels were still significantly better 4 years later. Which was, and the British Medical Journal Open published those results. Okay. Because you'd normally expect people's weight to go up over a 4-year period, but it didn't. It stayed down.
Okay. Well, clearly you're a chip evangelist. I can see that.
No question about that.
You're very keen. That normally chip is provided in a church hall sort of setting, like people from the community pay the fees and they come in. Is it a sneaky evangelistic method though? Is this a way to turn people Adventist without realising that this is what's happening?
No, not at all. Look, Christ worked by healing anyone that came to him. 10 lepers came to be healed. Only one of them came back again. And there's no record of the other 9 suddenly getting leprosy again. Christ provided that because that's what people need.
Sure.
We're in a society now where people desperately need these lifestyle changes that CHIP offers.
Sure.
So the Seventh-day Adventist Church has got on board with that. They're offering it as volunteers in the community, offering CHIP program to whoever wants to come along with no strings attached whatsoever.
Wow, well, that's incredible. So if I want to know more about the CHIP program, is there a website I can...
The website to go to is chiphealth.com. Go to chiphealth.com. You can find out where the nearest CHIP program is, locate CHIP. There's a whole pile of data there, all the scientific articles are up there, and you can go there and have a look, and chiphealth.com is the website.
Thanks very much, Paul. Really appreciate your help. Thanks for being here.
Thanks very much.
We'll see you after the break.
Signs of the Times, a magazine for a world on the brink. And this month in Signs, can you believe in a God that science cannot prove exists? Eat like a caveman or quit sugar. We review the latest diet trends, 50 Shades of Grey. First the novel, now the movie. And we answer life's big question, why are we here? All in this month's Signs of the Times. Subscribe to Signs today and change your life.
Every week, It Is Written is available to millions of free-to-air viewers throughout Australia, New Zealand, New Guinea and the Pacific. It Is Written's Gary Kent regularly takes viewers to the far corners of the globe to report on new evidence and discoveries that confirm the Bible and Christian beliefs. It Is Written also provides medical care to remote Pacific Island communities. Join Gary Kent each week for It Is Written. See television guides and the It Is Written website for broadcast times. It Is Written with Gary Kent. It really is television that changes lives.
Hello. Well, thanks so much for your company this week. We really do hope you've gained something from the program that will help you live healthier and grow closer to God.
Yes, and thanks so much to those of you who've been sending in comments and questions on what you see on Record in Focus. It's great to have a two-way conversation.
Yeah, it certainly is. We'll see you next week on Record in Focus. Until then, all the best.
And God bless.